What's going on, guys? My name is Triforce Addiction. Welcome back to another COD mode video. So today is the highly awaited comparison video between the RYTEC AMR Nautilus as well as the DLQ 33 Lotus Flames. So when I reviewed the Lotus Flames last week, I did mention that I was going to make a comparison because these right now currently are the two only mythic sniper rifles in the game. And be that as it may, obviously I know a lot of you guys are wanting me to do a comparison between the RYTEC AMR and the DLQ 33 mythic skins respectively. And I know some people might have mixed opinions on which one is better, mainly because it's probably pure bias. Some guys probably like running the RYTEC more than the DLQ. Some people actually like being different than just... I mean, if you think about it, the DLQ is very... it's a very common thing to see. You see a lot of fast switchers using that little karambit and just switching back to their DLQ all the fucking time. You never see that with the RYTEC AMR. And typically when you do see someone with a RYTEC, at least in multiplayer, they're typically using explosive rounds camping. You never see anyone actually rush with it. And it's really sad to think about because, excluding both the thermite rounds and the explosive rounds, I mean, this weapon does have some pretty good one-shot potential. I mean, it's basically the stopping power rounds Arctic 50 without really having the stopping power rounds. It's basically built in without any downsides. But anyways, I thought it would be a good idea to compare the two, its strengths, its weaknesses, its unique abilities. Well, not abilities, but like unique features that these mythic weapons do have, because there are quite a few, especially with the RYTEC and the DLQ specifically. So starting off with the first one that came out, which is the RYTEC AMR. This came out in Season 6, Year 2, and it was kind of amazing. This was like the very first ever mythic sniper rifle, and it didn't get a lot of positive praise because it came out for a weapon that not a lot of people were even inclined to use. And this was way before the RYTEC received its reload buff, and as well as like just other different buffs that it received. So it wasn't the ideal sniper to use. And back to the reload thing, it was extremely slow, and people didn't really see this beneficial outside of BR. So a lot of multiplayer mains understandably did not really want to buy this. Of course, it did come back later on for people that may have missed it, or I guess didn't have the money to at the time to pick it up. And yeah, like honestly, you don't really see this mythic coming out a lot. I would go as far as to say that it's probably one of the least, it's probably one of the rarest mythics to ever see in a multiplayer lobby. And I'm talking about specifically if it's someone in my team using it or someone in the enemy team using it. You hardly ever see it. I would say it's probably one of the least seen mythics that you will ever encounter in multiplayer. But it's not without its wins, I guess. There is different scopes that also comes with this mythic based on what level you're in. If you are at the max level, you do get this kind of somewhat pay to win tac scope. I think it's the 3x tac scope, where it gives you a wider view whenever you're aiming in, and it of course decreases like the range, or I guess the magnification. So yeah, like that's probably one of the biggest selling points for the mythic RYTEC if you ever want to make it that far. Of course, with the new FOV option, it kind of made it obsolete because you're gonna see enemies from further away, making it a little bit harder to land hits. So that's why now I'm starting to actually use the normal scope for most sniper rifles, since it doesn't zoom out as much anymore. But for those that don't use it, obviously it's very beneficial if you do have that 3x scope. As for the death effects, they're very simplistic for the most part. They have 3 different themes, which is something I'll get into very soon. But the 3 themes of the mythic RYTEC, especially with its death effect, is water, which is the default one. Thermite, which is I guess the midway point, and then they also have the ice death effect, which is at the very end. So like I think that's the one with the explosive mag. And this kind of brings us to its very, very unique feature, probably like the only mythic to ever have this, is the fact that based on what mag that you're using, the appearance of the RYTEC mythic will change. So what you're seeing right now on the screen is the RYTEC AMR with its thermite mag if you do upgrade it to level 3 or level 4. I forgot what level it was, but it basically gives it a more oil spill / metallic feel, and it looks really, really nice. I love the reflection colors and everything. And yeah, that's basically what it looks like. It turns the RYTEC AMR into more of a vapor type of theme. Whenever you kill an enemy, it's more of a smoky thing, kind of like a whale when it's like releasing all that vapor from like the top little hole on their head. So with the next theme, it's basically just pure ice. This is what happens when you put it with the explosive mag. Unfortunately, if you put like a camo on it, you're not really going to notice the themes. There will be subtle hints. I mean, if you see like air popping out, that means they have the thermite mag. But if it's more ice based, you'll see it like on the globe. Yeah, it's definitely going to be the explosive mag. So that's really the only way you could tell if you do have like certain camos on. But I will say the amount of details that they put besides just the themes is just absolutely incredible. When you reload it, especially with the explosive, you see little, I guess, snowflakes coming out of it. When you reload it with the thermite mag, you see like just a bunch of air coming out of like the mag hole. And then obviously with, you know, the water theme, which is the default, you see like a lot of water just pouring out of it. This especially also applies when you're weapon inspecting, when those tubes on the side of the gun actually come out based on what theme you have. You know, you'll see ice coming out, you'll see vapor coming out, or sometimes you just see water coming out if you're just using the regular rounds. So all of this just really depends on what magazine or what kind of, you know, ammunition you're using. If it's thermites, wind, like I said, if it's explosive, it's ice, if it's just default, it's just water. So now we move on to the second sniper rifle mythic, which is obviously the newest one, the DLQ LOTUS Flames. So I know for a lot of sniper mains, especially those that use the DLQ, obviously this is basically their wet dream. I'll be honest. For me personally, I'm not really much of a fan of the DLQ. I don't like, for me, like, I'm not really much of a fast switcher. I just use it the normal way as it's intended. But I don't really like it because it jams a lot, and that's probably why they use the fast switching in the first place. I'm more of a Rytec fan in my personal opinion. If anything, that's probably my most used sniper rifle, like besides the Arctic 50. But yeah, I'm more of a heavy sniper rifle type of guy. But despite not being a DLQ fan, I do have to admit the appearance of it is absolutely amazing. In terms of its effects, I mean, it's, you know, it's not really that bad. I mean, the Rytec, I would say, probably has a little bit more effects going on. The only thing that the DLQ really has is just mainly that little artifact that's behind the scope, and that's more or less it. Like, you do see some energy coming out, but it's kind of like out of your view. And, you know, like, it's not something I'm like too much of a fan of. I mean, I don't really care. But basically, the main selling point for the DLQ, and I'm pretty sure everyone will unanimously agree, is the scope. There's no debating, obviously, that the DLQ mythic scope is far better than the Rytec. Even if it has its 3x scope, there's no disagreement there. It's far superior. But in terms of appearance, I mean, both of them are really kind of interchangeable. If anything, I would consider them to be the opposites of each other, because obviously the Lotus Flames is obviously fire, and when it comes to the Rytec, it's water. So that's, I kind of like that little yin and yang type of thing going on, you know, where they're like basically the polar opposites. But as for its effects, like I said, they're very, very minimal. But for the death effects, I will say by far it is more superior than the Rytec. I will say that. So at the end of the day, if I were to say which one is better, obviously I would say that the DLQ is better. I know I have a bias for the Rytec, but obviously it's not strong enough to combat how good the DLQ Mythic is. And yeah, I mean, the only thing that really I could say that maybe makes the Rytec a little bit more unique is probably just its appearance changes. But that's the thing, it's like you only get those different changes if you use the thermite mag or the explosive mags. And personally for me, I always just use the default rounds. I never use those different types of mags. I can if I want to, if I'm feeling like playing like a douchebag. But for the most part, I just stick to the regular rounds. So I'm never really going to enjoy it. But as for the DLQ, I mean, you get to enjoy that scope all the fucking time. So it doesn't really matter. So for competitiveness, DLQ definitely is number one. For appearance, I mean, that could really go both ways. I mean, both of them are really good in their own rights. But as for like the uniqueness based on how it is, it's just like the DLQ, there's no comparison, obviously. So yeah, I mean, down to its death effects and everything, it's pretty cool. And I haven't really, you know, touched up on, you know, the weapon inspects. I would say that, like, my personal favorite's the Rytec, but this one is just basically like the guns floating around them. That's more or less it. I kind of like the I kind of like the Rytec a little bit more because it's just more going on with it instead of just having it float in midair for like 5 seconds. Reload animations, yeah, the DLQ definitely has that one over the Rytec. The Rytec is basically, well, it's very simple. compared to the Rytec where you literally create one out of your hands. That's pretty cool. But yeah, DLQ is definitely the winner here. But anyways, let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to, I think I already said that, but yeah. Anyways, have a good day, guys. Fuck it, I'm tired.